Everyone, this is the game Stevens from Rôla and Costa, one of our partners overseas, and we're bringing it to the US to begin October, coinciding with Essen Spiel. We're going to take a look at what's in the box today. This is a game for 1 to 4 players, plays in about 30 minutes per player, and it's ages 14 plus. It's a strategic game of about medium complexity. As you can see, we have a nice full color background here, showing you kind of what's in the box, what's going on with the game, but we'll take a look at what's actually in here. I really like the UV gloss touches on the front of the box too. I don't know how well you can see those here, but they do have a nice touch to the box here with the game. All right, let's go ahead and get into the game, see what's in here. And we have our rule book, a nice full color rule book with examples and some background. Shows you general setup and individual player setup. Walks you through a turn, and then you also can think about whether you're taking the cube or assigning a worker to a new profession. The workers are represented with little discs in this game. The goods are different cubes. You can commit to contracts and fund investments as you take some of the plate glass in this game, or you can create a new profession by removing those cubes. We'll talk more about that when we look at the player boards in a second. You can also reinforce existing professions. You can never do this if you are already on the card. You are the master glassmaker, but you could have an apprentice working for you who is a different player's disc. Then you can activate professions, unlock permanent abilities, and there is a reset phase that happens at the end whenever there are 2 of these factories that are missing all the cubes. You advance the French army, and the game will be over whenever this French army marker has reached one of the player's scoring markers. You're going to replenish the furnaces, gain victory points, empty the small factories, and activate personal investments during that reset phase. At the end of the game, you're going to get points for lots of different things. There's also a solo mode, and it talks about what you do in that solo mode here, as well as an appendix. We also have the iconography for the game here. And then this was actually the original cover for the game, but we got them to change that. We did include some of the historical information, so you can see what's going on during the time period of Stevens from 1762 all the way up until 1826. Okay, so these represent the goods. These are pottery, fabrics, and wooden utensils. They're very abstracted in the games, but it's just wooden cubes that you're going to be placing out during that reset phase, and then you'll be able to get them during the next round of play. So you won't see these really that much during the first round of play, and then until the reset phase, because of the investments you made, these will start to appear on the board. And then they'll be in the small factories near the top of the board. The box doesn't really have an insert. Instead, we have these boxes that you can put the different cards in. So these cards are where professions go. You'll notice here that the door kind of looks a little bit weird in that there's going to be red cards and blue cards that go into here, and you can fold that up. All your cards will fit in there. Now, if you do want it sleeved, you'll probably have to make a different insert for the box, but for those who just want to put the cards straight in there, you can do that like that. In fact, let's zoom in a little bit here as we go through these cards. So that's that. We also have card boxes for our contract cards and for our investment cards. We'll just set those to the side for now. I don't need to make all those at this point. But we will open up the cards. These cards here are for the solo game. So like I said, there's a fully separate made solo game for the game. There are cards in 4 languages, you'll notice, but there's English here. Kind of walked you through that. And then the solo cards there. Here, in fact, before I get all the cards out, I think what I'll do before I go through the components is show you the main, well, no, I guess we'll go through. We do have the the glass here. If you haven't played the game, this might not make a whole lot of sense. We do have 3 types of glass in the game. There's plate glass, which is the white, which 2 of the factories are going to make. And then we have bottle glass, and then we have, I forget what this one is called. Let me remember here real quick. Let's just look it up. It is another type of glass. The blue is the glass. Oh, that's right, because it's just called glassware. So there's glassware, bottle glass, and plate glass that are in the game. Really, people are just going to call them the green, the blue, and the white. But the white or clear glass is going to go in the bottom 2 furnaces. We have player colors in blue, yellow, red, and gray. I think I'll use the blue one here to show you what a player board looks like in just a second and what these discs do. All right, let's come back to the cards though. And we have our contracts and investments. So these are contract cards. These are the ones with the seal on the back like this. This would be a contract card, and the contract cards are going to give you points for columns of cards with different types. So you're looking for variety times cubes in them, essentially. And so they have things like crowns, and you're going to want to shuffle these really well. Crowns and the compass rose and the British flag here that you're going to want to shuffle well, because you're going to take those and you can only have 1 per column. And you want a variety because once you have 3 cards in that column, then it's number of cards times number of cubes to get points in those columns on your personal board. And we have a nice scoring pad there. And there's our Napoleon's army marker, or when it comes back, it's a little cannon that is rolling around. You can see that. For dual layered player boards, the starting player faction does have Stevens's portrait here, or the starting player board has Stevens' portrait here, and then like I said, these are dual layered, so you can see here how you're going to take all your pieces. In fact, we'll just go ahead and set the main board to the side for a second so we can just fill in this player board and talk about each of the pieces. Now, when you remove these from your board, because these are workers, remember, you have a lot of chances to be flexible with it, but there are some restrictions. First of all, this is your influence cylinder here. Your influence cylinder is going to start on 2. You're going to take some of these that have symbols on them and place them in the appropriate places, like here. The ones that don't have symbols can just go straight into these 5, 10, 15, 20 markers for the influence track. And this one has a victory point on it. So on this left page, this is actually 2 pages of a book. On this left page, you have to remove this 1 victory point, one that gives you a single victory point during the reset phase, which is shown by the blown glass here. You have to remove that one first. There's some other restrictions over here that we'll talk about in just a second. But let's go ahead and finish putting these out. There are some of these that are for our victory points and so forth. But these, you just look for the number over here, you put those there. The rest of them have symbols that coincide to the board here on one side of them. So you just kind of have to flip and check. And there we are. Okay, so these are blank ones. We'll go there. This one actually should be blank. This one would go on the main board as your victory point marker, the 2 here. And you'll start off, everybody starts off with 1 profession card that goes on to the board. And I'll just point that out here before I go back to the main board. But what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these starting cards, and the starting cards have this little blue symbol here in the middle. And you take one of those starting cards, and let's see here. So these are the blue door starting profession cards. You'll notice that. So they have a blue door in the back, and you if you don't have 4 players, you're not going to use 4. You're just going to use according to the number of players you have. So you'll take 2 of your starting cards, and these are going to go on the right side of the board. And you know that because the profession is here on the left and the person is on the right. So on the main board, when we get back to that, these would go on the right. You would take one of your starting workers. So you could use like the 5 influence. You could use the one that gives you 1 point at every reset. You could start with this one here that says that you can, I think this one means you can pay 1 less when you take a contract or an investment. And this one is when you fulfill a contract, you can use any 2 same cubes in place of another one instead. So you do have to start next to these 2, but after that, then you can wrap your way around. These 2 are, they allow you to break the rules of profession placement, and these 2 let you to take off cards in the display from professions, and then you can take a different actions before you do that. This is just how many cubes of these pottery, utensils, and fabrics, how many you can take, and that lets you know how many you can take. So you start being able to take 1, then you can take 2, take this off, you can take 3, so forth. So that's the individual player boards with room for crowns, compass rose, and flags on the left here, which is where contracts are going to go once they're fulfilled. Before they're fulfilled, you just keep them down here showing that they haven't been fulfilled yet. Then you move them up into the appropriate column. Again, you're going to want to shuffle those well. And on the right here, we can take a look at investment cards and how they're going to work on the personal player boards. On the personal player boards, you're going to want these to be so that they go with the correct cube. So like this has a black cube here, which I believe is pottery. So that's going to give you pottery income, but this would be a better pottery income because this one gives you a point during the reset phase and the pottery income that is going to be then placed out on the main board. But again, these are not shuffled super well, but like, okay. And then this one would be fabrics. And let's see, let's grab a, this one is a wooden utensils one. So this one gives you 2 wooden utensils. But when you activate these during the refresh phase, you also pay any costs. So this one says that you're going to pay for the dune track. And you'll notice there's a couple markers here. There's one for the victory point, but there's one for the dune track and one for the forest track. Sorry, not the dune track. This is the forest track. So you'd have to pay for the forest track with this one. So activate everything there. And that's kind of what's going on with these is you decide whether you're going to activate a whole column or not. Maybe sometimes I wouldn't want to pay this, and you'll see why in a second when we take a look at the main board. But you wouldn't want to pay this because you might lose some points. So maybe you just activate this column instead and ignore this entire column, which means you're also going to lose out on those cubes. But let's go back to where we can look at our main board here. We'll set this individual player board to the side and do some things to get going here. So everybody's going to get starting professions. We'll put those down here. And then this board is larger than you might think. So make some room for ourselves. And we do have a punch board here that we haven't got to yet either. So we'll talk about that. But this board is kind of an odd board in that it's this 3-piece board here. And what you end up doing is after everybody has selected their starting professions, you put them on the correct side. So red cards are going to go on the left. So maybe I would do this if I got one of these, and maybe yellow would be over here. So I would be here. I would put my profession down there so that whenever I took a cube from this furnace, I would also activate any of the professions over here, including my rivals, not just myself. And they would all get the chance to take the benefits from here. This one just says that you get either an escudo coin or an influence. And so putting those out is part of the starting play, but then you also shuffle these up, and depending on, again, the color of the door, and you can also be reminded here which side of the board it goes to. You're going to place them up like so. So the red cards there, the blue cards here for your starting display, and I'm not going to go over all the rules. Like, this is just an unboxing. Every player also gets either a crate, a basket, or a chandelier, one of their choice. They get some money to start the game. This is a 5 coin. When you have 1 coins, it'd be kind of a neat little upgrade to get some Escudo coins that were metal too, but we don't have that at this point. The next thing is there's a reminder card here of what you're doing during the refresh phase. Again, we see there that this is the symbol for what's happening during the refresh phase, and what this 2 and 4 is referring to is look at the 4 factories down here, in these 4 furnaces down here, and if 2 of them are out of glass, then it's time to do the refresh reset phase. So that's that reminder card. It walks you through the steps of the reset, where you're going to move the Napoleon marker 5 steps. You're going to refill the furnaces based on the numbers here and your player count. You're going to get income from, remove all of the goods at the small factories here. Then you're going to get your victory point income and any other income from columns that you activate. And you might have to lose some points again in the dunes. And this is where you see these. So everybody's gonna start out here on the same symbol that is on those starting cards in the dunes, or the, oh, that's not the right one, but that's okay. We'll grab the right one here. Or in the forest here. And after that, you wanna end up in the 15 or the 7. You probably don't want to end up in the 0. And these are independent of one another. So if I end up at the end of the game like this would be 22 points. And this would be 30 points. There's a small divider here. Let's see if we can show that a little better. You can see, yeah, you can see that divider there. But anyway, everyone starts here. And that's just a reminder of how you do income from your investments during the reset phase. And then it shows that all of those that got placed out on those cards, because you don't get those individually, all those goods then are assigned out here to these 4 small factories. And as you do that assigning of that, you're going to get things like coins, or these goods here, or another worker, or an investment, or contract, or influence, whatever. It's a point salad of a game, if you can't tell that. And that is most of what we're going to be seeing in Stevens. I'm really excited about this game. I hope you are too. One of the things I do want to show you, I like how, well, two more things. I like how this looks when it's set up. It looks very thematic, even though it's very abstracted too, in that you have your glassware here, you have your bottle glass here, and then you have these 2 plate glass furnaces down here that are working very hard to get things going. So you start like that, and again, it's when 2 of these 4 furnaces are empty that you're going to be advancing the game. And you also have, so this is pay 1 coin, pay 2, pay 3, pay 4, and 5. You're going to have these contracts and investments out here that are going to be available. And like I said, make sure you shuffle these well. But I'm just going to randomize them by looking at them, because that's something. But you can pay for these, as long as you can afford it, you can pay for these out of order, and then they slide up at the end of the turn. So maybe that's our display right now. And for investments, and then we have our contracts over here. And something like this, let's say, so this would be 1 influence, 2 influence, 3 influence, 4, and 5 influence. And you'll notice you have to unlock more influence to really get things going in the game. So lots of combinations, lots of ways to move forward and try to get a path to victory. So maybe we started something like that if we had shuffled well. And essentially the whole game is either placing a worker out on a profession, either one that it hasn't yet been claimed, or if there's one like, let's say this one, of course in this case we would have to have this to follow the rules, but let's say we put this one out and we put a profession on there. I'm going to pay 3 coins, and then later when I take cubes from here, I can get a coin and an influence. And again, whenever you activate things, it's everything in that row. This would be take the cube, activate all the professions in that row. So you're either taking cubes and activating things, like here, if I take plate glass from either side, then I can get an investment or a contract. You've now seen Stevens. This is a game we're very excited about, again, coming out at Essen Spiel, and we're going to have it released here in the US, same time, first week in October. It's going to be available for pre-order on the website. You can either pre-order directly from us or your favorite local gaming store. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, and happy gaming.